Unless you already own a Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack subscription and you're specifically nostalgic for 7 specific Virtual Boy games, you shouldn't buy Nintendo's Virtual Boy re-release. You're paying $100 for a plastic headset that locks you into a $50 annual subscription, all just to play 30-year-old games that were commercial failures the first time around. Here's the numbers, folks. The full replica costs $100. You need a Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack at $50 annually. That's $150 in year 1 just to access 7 games on day 1. If you keep the subscription for 2 years, you've spent $200 just to play 16 games total. That's $12.50 per game for titles that originally sold for $20 to $50 in 1995 and failed so badly that Nintendo discontinued the entire platform within a year. This isn't like buying a retro console where you get to own the games, you're only renting access. If you cancel your expansion pack subscription, every Virtual Boy game becomes unplayable even though you paid $100 for the required hardware. Nintendo isn't selling you a product, they're selling you a gateway into a recurring payment system. What the actual And that $50 annual fee, it's not just for Virtual Boy games. I know that it includes N64 and Sega Genesis titles too. But if you don't care about those libraries, you're still paying the full price. There's no Virtual Boy only tier. Nintendo bundled this into the most expensive subscription specifically because they knew that the Virtual Boy alone doesn't justify the cost. The cardboard version, and yes, there's a cardboard version, being sold at $25 doesn't really fix the problem. You still need the $50 subscription. You're just saving money on a headset that you'll fold up and throw in your closet after the novelty wears off in 3 days. Now let's get to these games. They're releasing 7 games at launch, 16 total by the end of 2026. Out of the original 22 game library, 6 games aren't even being re-released. And of the 16 that are coming, most of them were already obscure or poorly reviewed back in 1995. Galactic Pinball, Teleroboxer, Red Alarm, these weren't hidden gems that deserved a second chance. They were tech demos that showed off stereoscopic 3D at the expense of actual gameplay depth. Virtual Boy Wario Land is the only title from the launch lineup that consistently gets praise, and even that doesn't hold up to Game Boy or SNES Wario games from the same era. The 2 unreleased games, Zero Racers and D-Hopper, sound interesting until you realize they were cancelled in 1995 for a reason. Nintendo didn't shelve them because of the platform's failure, they shelved them because they weren't good enough to release. And here's the bigger issue, you can't play these games the way they were designed. The original Virtual Boy used a dedicated controller with 2 D-pads. The re-release uses Joy-Cons. The control schemes have been adapted, but that adaptation breaks the muscle memory and design intent of games that were already struggling with clunky controls 30 years ago. Nintendo's not re-releasing the Virtual Boy because they believe in the platform, they're re-releasing it because nostalgia sells. And they've also run out of safer retro catalogs to monetize. The NES, SNES, N64, and Game Boy libraries are already available through Switch Online. The Virtual Boy is the last major Nintendo platform they haven't exploited yet. The $100 price point for the replica accessory isn't based on material cost or R&D, it's based on what Nintendo thinks collectors and nostalgic buyers will pay for a conversation piece. The fact that it sold out immediately in December proves they were right. But selling out doesn't mean it's a good purchase, it just means Nintendo manufactured scarcity to create some urgency. And the geographic restriction, well, it's only available in the US and Canada, no Europe, no Japan. Nintendo is testing whether North American consumers will pay premium prices for failed hardware nostalgia before committing to a global rollout. You're not an early adopter, you're a test case subject. Now alright, there are 2 scenarios where this makes sense. If you're already paying for the expansion pack because you play N64 or Genesis games regularly, the Virtual Boy library is a bonus. The $100 accessory is still overpriced, but at least you're not adding a subscription cost on top. The second scenario is if you're a Nintendo hardware collector who specifically wants a physical replica of the Virtual Boy for display purposes. In that case, you're not buying this to play games, you're buying a shelf piece, and that's fine, but it's not a gaming purchase, it's a collectible purchase. For everyone else, this is a bad deal. You're paying $150 minimum to access a library of games that were critically planned, commercially rejected, and designed for hardware that caused headaches and eye strain so severe that Nintendo issued health warnings with every unit sold. If you're buying this at launch because you think you're recapturing 1995, you're not. You're funding Nintendo's next nostalgia cash grab while renting access to games that didn't deserve a second chance the first time around. If you asked me about consoles or gaming accessories that deserve a second chance, we'd be better off asking Sony about a new PSP or even a PSP Vita, but heck, that's just me. Now, if you want tech advice that protects your wallet instead of appealing to your nostalgia, that's what this channel does. Consider subscribing and share this to all of your gamer friends. I'll talk to you in the next one. Toodaloos!